It's simple mathematics. Check it out. I revolve around science. What are we talking about here? Okay, get a piece of paper and get out your pencil, and we are going to review how we find the area of a trapezoid. So you can see here I have an area of a trapezoid. And we learned that four-sided shapes all can, you can find the area of four-sided shapes by multiplying base times height. With a trapezoid, it's a special four-sided shape because if you notice, this side is not equal to this side. And so if we rotate this object, we notice that the base changes and it's not the same size. So which base do we use? Okay, so which base do we use? The height is determined by a line at 90 degrees from the top corner down to the bottom. So there's the height, which we can kind of see, and we should be able to find that given that dimension. But what do we use for the base? That's the tricky part with the trapezoid. Okay, so we can see that the height is right here. Okay, or it could also be here. Okay, or it could be anywhere along that line as long as it goes from the top of the shape down to the bottom of the shape. Okay, so that determines the height. However, what do we use for the base? Is it A? Is it B? Okay, that's the tricky part. So we need some consistency. All right, so if we take this, if we take a trapezoid and we
Mrs. McGregor, could you call extension 207? Mrs. McGregor,
reform the trapezoid into a shape that has an equal top and bottom, okay, we create a parallelogram. Okay, and if you notice, your A now is down here and your B is now up here. And if we take A plus B, we now have the full length of the base. All right? And it's the same as it is on the top. So now we have a consistent measure in order to use. Okay, so our base now becomes
Walker, could you call
A plus B, okay, to give us the full length of the parallelogram. And then we just simply multiply that by height. However, we only need half of the shape. So we get rid of 1/2. And how do we get rid of 1/2 in math? Well, we divide by 2. All right, so the A and the B formulate the base of the parallelogram times the height of the parallelogram, and then the trapezoid is only half a parallelogram. Much the same as a triangle is only half a rectangular shape. Okay? Now, that doesn't matter if we have a trapezoid that looks like this shape, okay, where it kind of resembles a rooftop, or we have a trapezoid that looks like part of a rectangle, like this. All right. When we take the A and the B, all right, and we take this shape, and we move it around, we notice that it creates, in this case, a rectangle. And therefore, A plus B divided by 2 will give you the area of a trapezoid. Okay, and you can directly see that my B is here and my A now is here but upside down. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so we have A plus B. Okay, we have to do that first to find the base. times the height, which it would be in this case here. Okay, all right, times the height. And then we only need half of that. We only need half of that shape. So we divide by 2. Okay, so doesn't matter what kind of shape of a trapezoid it is. Okay, a trapezoid is any shape that has 2 parallel lines. All right, 2 parallel lines, and then the other lines are not parallel. So this line is not parallel to this line. Okay, and the arrows denote parallel. Okay, so you notice here that this line and this line are not parallel. Okay, but these two lines are parallel. Same here. All right, they run like train tracks. So that is how you calculate area of a trapezoid. So when we're solving problems, let's say that we have a height. Let's say that we have a height is equal to 3, and our top is equal to 4, and our bottom is equal to, I don't know, maybe 10. Okay, so if I were to create that trapezoid, it would look something like this. All right, so I would have, my top says 4, let's call it centimeters. My bottom says 10 centimeters, and my height is 3 centimeters. Okay, so when solving problems, I'm always going to write out the formula. So area of a trapezoid, and I always like to draw the symbol so I know what I'm calculating. You're communicating effective math thinking. And I'm going to write down the formula A plus B times the height divided by 2. So then I'm just going to plug in my values. The A is 4. All right, so A is always on the top, B is always on the bottom. So 4 plus 10, all right, times 3 divided by 2. Okay, and if you look at it, we have 4 plus 10 gives us 14. Notice I'm showing all of my steps. What I do first, I do what's inside the brackets, following order of operations. All right, and then I have divide by 2. Okay, and then I do the multiplication. So 3 times 14, maybe you can estimate. So if I do 10 times 3 plus 4 times 3 becomes 30 plus 12, which gives me 42. All right, now you could do that on a calculator as well. So let's just double check. All right, so pull up my calculator. I do 14 times 3 equals 42. So there you go. All right, so 42 divided by 2. All right, and then we do 42 divided by 2. I can think about it the same way. So if I take 40, all right, divided by 2, I end up with 20. All right, and then I take 2 and divide by 2 equals 1. So I put them together, I end up with 21. Okay, or I can double check on my calculator, depending on my mathematical skills. All right, so I do 42 divided by 2 equals 21. All right, so the area of this trapezoid now is 21 centimeters, and because we're looking at area, it's always squared. Okay, so that's how you would find the area of a trapezoid. It's simple mathematics. Check it out. I revolve around science.